Hey everybody, welcome back to another Go Battle League video. Today we're going to take it to the Sunshine Cup where we used a very spicy Pokemon that no one usually uses in this format, and that Pokemon is Hippowdon. Hippowdon is a pure ground type, so it's usually not great in terms of going up against matchups against dual type Pokemon, but man, in this run we got up to 4-1 with Hippowdon in this team thanks to its nice coverage moves, especially Ice Fang. Now, I understand that I haven't uploaded in a while, but this is mainly because of, I have high school plans and stuff. I have finals coming up. It's almost the end of the semester, so very sorry about not uploading the video earlier, but here it is. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video because man, Hippowdon sure brought on a banger video for this one. Alright, hopping into the first match leading Toucannon into Ludicolo. This is a really good lead for our team with the Toucannon in the front, and honestly there is a really good reason why I put Toucannon on the front for this team. Toucannon is just simply just a nuke machine. Even against Mac Cargo, it still does so much damage, and look at that. The opponent already shielding up the Beak Blast, it's going to be doing too much damage, and now we're going to send in Hippowdon. Hippowdon easily tanking that Grass Knot very well despite it being super effective damage, and it's able to win the CMP against Cradily here. Now the Weather Ball will not KO the Cradily, but it will get them very, very low, and you might be wondering, why am I not trying to win switch here? Well, mainly the reason why is because the opponent has a Ludicolo in the back that even Blaziken can handle with, but now the opponent sends in Talonflame. And even so, the Blaziken will still be able to win CMP here and be able to win this matchup, provided it can reach 2 Aura Spheres in time. Force Aura Spheres will be able to get the Talonflame very, very low here. I'm gonna have to shield up this Flame Charge here. The Flame Charge would do massive damage, despite it being resisted. We're able to reach the second Aura Sphere. This would knock out unless they shield here, which they do, and they're able to reach their second Flame Charge. Now here, I have no idea how, but the Flame Charge did not knock out the Blaziken, and honestly that can provide a great catching opportunity for me. I swap into the Toucannon. Toucannon takes a lot of damage from the Incinerate, but we're able to fire back with the Drill Peck before they register the second Incinerate. Back in comes their Ludicolo. Ludicolo is already low HP, but I already know what their play is going to be here. They're going to try to catch onto the Cradily. It fails. We're almost at the back-to-back Drill Pecks here. Drill Peck number 1 will easily take out the Cradily here. And one more Peck, and we're able to reach the second Drill Peck, which will easily knock out the Ludicolo. And as you can see from this matchup, you can already tell why Hippowdon is acting as my safe switch, as it's practically the primary bulk of the team. Hopping into the next match leading Toucannon into Shadow Marowak. Opponent going to safe switch into the Cradily. I'm going to send in Hippowdon. Hippowdon's Ice Fang's doing massive damage to Cradily. Cradily going to fire off a charge move. It's a Grass Knot. Grass Knot will be shielded obviously, as that time it was going to do a bit too much damage to Hippowdon. I'm not going to fire off a Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands would KO here, but unfortunately the opponent shields. Now the opponent going to fire off another charge move. I do shield it, but unfortunately it's a Rock Tomb bait, and they're going to be able to reach another one, but no, they decide not to. They decide to keep all the energy from the Cradily and send in Ludicolo. Ludicolo going to take resistant damage from the Scorching Sands, but now I can just send in Toucannon. Toucannon's going to be able to easily win this matchup against the Ludicolo, so they just let it go. And the opponent going to think about what they're going to send back in next. They're going to send in the Marowak, and this is a good play from the opponent because even despite the fact that I'm up energy, I have no more shields left, meaning they just have to reach one Rock Slide and my Toucannon is KO'd. Opponent now going to fire off the Rock Slide here. Rock Slide will take out the Toucannon unfortunately, and I have to think, I had to send in the Blaziken because that's the only relatively healthy Pokemon I have left. I send it in, take one Mud Slap, and I send in Hippowdon. Hippowdon does massive damage with those Ice Fangs there. The opponent goes for a Rock Slide, and the opponent also tries for a catch on the Cradily, but they didn't realize how low energy that the Hippowdon had. And now Hippowdon's going to fire off that Weather Ball. Weather Ball almost takes out the knockout, but Blaziken is going to be able to enter in and be able to snipe with 2 Embers. Alright, hopping into the next match, leading Toucannon into Cradily. This is not necessarily a great matchup for the Toucannon to be seeing, but it's probably going to be completely fine here as I still do outpace by quite a bit before I get debuffed. Dropback number 1 will do some nice damage onto the Cradily. Now I'm going to have to shield the Rock Tomb because Rock Tomb would do way too much damage. I actually will send in the Hippowdon here. Hippowdon will be able to chunk with those Ice Fangs. Those do massive damage and the opponent has to shield if they want to get any energy thrown at the Hippowdon. They do end up shielding the Weather Ball. They're going to fire off a Rock Tomb bait. Luckily I don't shield that, but now they send in Licky Licky. Licky Licky will be able to do some nice damage with the Body Slam, but Body Slam will not be enough to KO from this range. Opponent continues to farm, but we're able to reach the Scorching Sand just in time before they reach their second Body Slam. Now I'm going to send back in my Toucannon. I'm able to get the snipe with one peck, but they have the Body Slam loaded and this will do a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, that almost sent me down to half, but luckily Toucannon able to make it to the Drill Peck before they make it to a third Body Slam. Drill Peck will knock out the Licky Licky here. In comes their own Toucannon and this could be trouble. My Toucannon's already so low, so is my Hippowdon, and my Blaziken absolutely does not want to see this thing. But if that's how it's going to be, then I have no choice but to send in the Blaziken here. I'm going to send the Blaziken. These pecks shredding through its health bar already. Just 2 pecks was enough to send it down to 7/8 of its current health. Now, I'm going to fire off the Aura Sphere here. Aura Sphere will easily knock out the Toucannon here. Back in comes that low health Cradily. They see the writing on the wall, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Toucannon into Talonflame. This is a really good lead for the Toucannon because it can win the zero shield scenario. Opponent going to continue farm winning with the Incinerates, but we're able to reach up to 7 packs and a Drill Peck. Drill Peck will easily knock out from this range, so the opponent's going to shield. The opponent fires off their charge after 4 Incinerates. Look at that damage on the Toucannon. Toucannon is just so frail, but we're able to reach a second Drill Peck before they fire off their next charge move. Opponent going to double shield on their Talonflame, but now I'm going to send in Hippowdon. Hippowdon's going to take some massive damage here, especially since it's a boosted Brave Bird. Brave Bird almost knocks out, but I'm able to hang on. Look at Hippowdon's bulk right there. This is exactly why it is the primary bulk of the team, serving as the best save switch. Opponent takes out the Hippowdon, unfortunately, but now I can send in Blaziken and just sweep this endgame. Opponent going to fire out the Rock Tomb. I'm able to reach the Aura Sphere just before they reach their next Rock Tomb here. Aura Sphere would easily take out even with the -1 debuff, and now the opponent gets knocked out. They're going to send it back in the Talonflame. That doesn't matter. They're too far away from another move. Aura Sphere going to take them out once again, and in the back they have Furret. Now at -1, Aura Sphere will still do a lot of damage, but it will not be enough to knock out here, and that could be trouble because they're already almost at a Swift here. The opponent, oh my goodness, they didn't throw their Swift. That is super huge for the Toucannon. Toucannon able to reach a last second Drill Peck at 1 HP, and that is a game. Hopping into the final match, and this is one of the matches that I did end up losing, just to show that this is a balanced algorithm here. Opponent going to have a great start against me with their Mag Cargo against my Toucannon. I'm gonna have to save switch into my Blaziken, but they send in Quagsire. Already a tough start here, but I do have energy. So I'm gonna fire off the second Aura Sphere here. This does get shielded by the Quagsire. Opponent going to continue to farm, and they probably already have enough for Aqua Tail and a Stone Edge. First Aqua Tail easily knocks out my Blaziken. Now, I did send in my Toucannon here, but what I didn't know was that the opponent had a Stone Edge loaded, meaning I was about to lose this game. Yep, that thing absolutely destroys the Toucannon. In comes their Drampa going up against Ice Fang Hippowdon. Hippowdon's Ice Fangs are shredding, but it won't be enough to knock him out before they fire off 2 Swifts, and those Swifts do heavy damage, as I do recall from experience. I'm going to fire off the second Swift. Even though my Hippowdon's so healthy, I have to keep this thing alive. The opponent going to think about it for a second. They're going to send in the Cargo, and I have to hope they shield up the Weather Ball bait here. But unfortunately, they don't. And unfortunately, this game is over. As the opponent, since they didn't shield up, I already knew it was already over. They already had an overheat loaded, and that is a good game. All in all, using the Hippowdon was honestly a really fun run inside the Sunshine Cup. I was never expecting this thing to work in the first place, especially with so many meta Pokemon being able to easily take this down, such as Quagsire and Cradily. But somehow, Hippowdon was able to clutch up against multiple Cradily matchups and other matchups as well. And honestly, for an Ice Fang user that's hidden inside the Sunshine Cup meta, I can still recommend it in some scenarios, but don't always rely on this team to win you a lot of games inside the Sunshine Cup, as Hippowdon, whilst being a really strong tank, my other two teammates, they were pretty frail. So if you want to tweak out how to use your Hippowdon, I suggest that you make a new team that's centered around a bit more bulk and also a lot more baiting. Anyways, thanks for watching the video today. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.